Hi, I'm Ayon at Zero A Pawa, and now let's continue to the discussion of evolution of Philippines Constitution. The Treaty of Paris. The Treaty of Paris happened on December 10, 1898. Under the Treaty of Paris, Spain sold the Philippines to the US for $20 million. So the $20 million paid by US to Spain for public buildings and work it accomplished in the Philippines. US stated agreed and Spain surrendered or sold the Philippines to the US, so this concluded the Spanish-American War. The event happened during the term of William McKinley. With this, the Filipino was hoping gain independence finally from Spain. However, the Malolos Constitution was not put full operation in the Philippines, so because of the Treaty of Paris. So after Spain ceded the islands, the Philippines, the US immediately proceeded to suppress the Philippines independence movement. So it was actually the American government who went after Emilio Aguinaldo and the US took over. It was met with opposition by Emilio Aguinaldo and launched guerrilla warfare. However, this was not successful. He was captured in Palanan, Isabela. The American ruled the Philippines after the capture of Aguinaldo. And also we have the June Act of 1916 which promised independence to the Filipinos. So once we are able to form democratic government, they said if you're able to formulate once we see that you can maintain stable democratic government, then we will grant you independence under the American model. After how many years, a 10th-year transition plan was finally approved by the US in 1934 and Constitution was drafted, and this was called the 1935 Constitution. However, this was not fully implemented, so the transition was disrupted by World War II. With the invasion of Japan, Filipinos who resisted against the Japanese invasion. However, we still fell. The US fled the country, and the Japanese Republic were briefly established in Philippines. So as you all know, we have Jose P. Laurel who was appointed as the President of the Philippines under the Japanese rule. During the Japanese rule, we have a constitution was ratified by Filipinos led by the Kalibapi or the Kapisan sa Paglilingkod ng Bagong Pilipinas, but that was not again implemented. As we all know, the Japanese lost the World War II and it ended the rule of Japanese. After that, the 1935 Constitution was operational. 1935 Constitution became operative after the restoration of US rule in the Philippines. It established the Commonwealth of the Philippines. So it prescribed principle of separation of powers among the three branches of government, which are executive, legislative, and judicial branch. The American government also have these branches, so we followed the American government. The 1935 Constitution was declared upon proclamation of independence. The Commonwealth of the Philippines shall be known as the Republic of the Philippines, and it shall adopt presidential form of government, which means the president as the head of state. It also have the Bill of Rights included in 1935 Constitution, which was not articulated in Malolos Constitution. Bill of Rights means the outlines the rights of individuals, what the government cannot do to one individual, and what is accorded the rights of individual that is supposed to enjoy. 1935 Constitution originally provided for a unicameral assembly. Election was held on September 1935, and Manuel Quezon was elected as the President of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. So 1935 Constitution was amended in 1940. So we have 1940 amendments. While 1935 Constitution prescribed unicameral assembly, the 1940 amendments said that we are to transition to a bicameral Congress, meaning there shall be an upper house which shall be composed of the Senate and lower house which shall be composed of the representatives. So it limited also the term of office of the president to 4 years. But he may be re-elected so he can continue to serve for a maximum of 8 years. The 1940 amendment to the 1935 Constitution also provided for the creation of Commission on Election. So, we also have another amendments, and it is called 1947 amendments. This was known as the Parity Amendment. So the Parity Amendment granted the privilege of equality. There will be equality of privileges between Filipino and US in the exploitation of natural resources. And also, US are allowed to operate the public utilities in the country, and there will be free trade between the US and Philippines. So that was some of the specification. By the way, when we were granted full independence by the US, our first president was Manuel A. Rojas. And it is our third republic.
1973 Constitution provides for a shift from a presidential form of government to a parliamentary system. So what will happen under parliamentary system na sinasabi ni 1973 Constitution is that the president serve as a symbolic head of state. So ang president symbolic lang siya, hindi siya will and power. The will and power will be the prime minister. So the executive power is exercised by the prime minister with the assistance of the cabinet. So he will execute laws in the country, and under the 1973 Constitution, the legislative power is vested in a unicameral National Assembly. So wala yung bicameral, wala na yung House of Representatives. So babalik tayo sa unicameral assembly. So isahan na lang, we will not separate the National Assembly. 1981 to 1984. During this period, amendments happened in 1973 Constitution. One of these amendments was the President shall be the head of state and chief executive of the Republic. So, di ba, si Prime Minister yung original na nasa 1973 Constitution. But when he was amended, the President now shall be the head of state and chief executive of the Republic. And he shall be elected from the National Assembly for a term of 6 years. So the President shall not be elected by the people, but it shall be the National Assembly or the Congress who will elect the President for a term of 6 years. Meron pa rin si Prime Minister, but he shall be the head of government. Also, this amendment included the President. The President here is being able to dissolve the National Assembly and call for a general election. So ito yung isang power na binigay kay President noong amendments na ito, kasi accordingly, sabi nila Marcos wanted to stay in power. So he wanted this kind of power to be vested in the Philippines President, so that when Congress are not in line with his like, he can easily dissolve Congress or the National Assembly, call for another election. So by the way, the head of government means that being the prime minister, he shall be concerned with the administration. He shall be controlled with of all the ministry, like yung tinatawag natin ngayon na cabinet members. So yun yung mga task na binigay kay Prime Minister. Pero ngayon, real power shall be vested in the President. And the President can dissolve the National Assembly. So ang tawag nila sa amendment na ito, yung 1973, is constitutional authoritarianism. So naging authoritarian na. The National Assembly replaced by the Batasang Pambansa. So Batasang Pambansa na ang tawag ay National Assembly. And another, the President become the Prime Minister. So yung sinasabi natin kanina na nag-exchange yung goals, si President na magiging Prime Minister yung role niya and he shall continue to exercise legislative powers. So the President was given the power to create laws na dapat kay legislative lang dapat. And doon sa amendment na 1973 Constitution under what we called constitutional authoritarianism. So the president is authorized to legislate laws on his own on an emergency basis. So President Marcos, before making action that are authoritarian, he makes sure that there is a legal basis for his action. That's why the 1973 Constitution were amended a lot of time. Corazon Aquino let her selected to have a constitutional commission to draft the new constitution for the Philippines. The new 1987 constitution limited the declaration of martial law, so it consisted 18 articles in a preamble, and also it provided for a presidential type of government. So the government is divided into three branches: the executive, legislative, and the judiciary. And also the 1987 constitution declared that the Philippines as a democratic and as a republican state. When we say republican of state, it is the form of government where power is vested in the people. In the democracy, guided by an ideology, the liberty, freedom, and rights are valued. So Philippines is a democratic